What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Let's Talk Anything podcast. I am your host, Matthew Sonic Mix, and just as a brief warning to what had happened, for some reason, there was a weird cutout with the audio, and I didn't notice that we were now recording at one point, and I basically now have to do some editing, but it's with myself and my buddy Tony Trinity. For this episode, we gave our predictions of the NXT takeover Portland that's happening this Sunday. We then talk about the good, the bad, the funny, and the BS stories that happened at work at our previous jobs. And then we talk about some friends' memories and what we remember about them the most. I am going to go ahead and give you a quick rundown of our picks on who we picked for NXT takeover Portland. So between Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor, we both picked Finn Balor to win. The street fight between Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai, my buddy picked Tegan Nox, I picked Dakota Kai. Keith Lee versus Dominic Dijak for the North American title, I went with Keith Lee. My buddy picked Dominic Dijak, excuse me. Um, for the tag team match, we both picked Riddle and Dunn. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair, we both picked Rhea Ripley. And then Adam Cole versus Tommaso Ciampa, we both picked Adam Cole. So the next piece of audio you're going to listen to is us talking about the good, the bad, the funny, and the BS times that had happened at our job or previous job we used to work for. Hope you guys enjoy, and until then, we'll see you on the flip side.
That counted as service hours. Then I worked for Market Day, basically doing grocery stuff, if you will. And then I'm at my current employment right now, and I've been doing that for the past 10 years, or 9.5 years, going on to 10.
Huh. Very interesting. I did not know you worked at a school.
Yeah, that was my freshman year of high school.
Wow.
And I had to take care of, what was it, second, third graders for about 15 weeks, I think.
Okay.
Because that was like about an hour each week, so that's 15 hours. And then the following semester, which was another 15, I forget which I had to do for, but I had to get a grand total of 30. So it was something. I forget which or what it was.
Interesting. Now, I guess we'll start off with you first. What are some funny BS, good, whatever situations that you can remember from your past jobs? Or maybe even the job that you're currently working at now.
Funny? Not really all that much funniness. Basically, you take care of business, and I mean, yeah, you'll have like a few laughs along the way. Not really pertaining to inside work, but co-workers outside of work was funny, if you will, because there was one guy that I used to go to conventions with. So I guess that's being a funny moment because we usually have laughs, and then we will go to like a couple bars, have a few laughs here and there. And that's about the funniness about work or work-related situations. The bad is relinquishing jobs per semester for high school for service hours, and for my current place of employment is losing coworkers due to death reasons. The ugly is at my current job that I'm working at the back receiving area, or I hit my head on the dock plate.
Ooh, how did that happen?
Stupid idiots put the recycling by the dock plate, didn't know where to put it, so I bent down in a certain way, and then ding, And about 5 or 7 minutes later, I noticed that there was liquid coming down my face. I'm like, is this water? Is this sweat? What is this? So then I had to get my hand, and then I started wiping my face, and I noticed that it was red, and I'm like, the fuck kind of deal. And I had to clean it up, had to get like the, what is it, handy wipes kind of deal
Uh-huh.
for sanitations, and then I had to wipe my hands off, and then my head, and then I went to the place where they have the first aid and CPR kind of section for getting the first aid kit, and then pretty much I cleaned it up about, what was it, a half an this happened like a half an hour before my work got over, which sucked, which was like about 9:30 at night, and then I got out at 10, so that really sucked. And in about 10 minutes, like I said, 10 minutes later, I went to the place where they have the first aid kit, cleaned it up even more, went to the bathroom to do it at, because I didn't want to do it on the sales floor kind of deal. So pretty much, needless to say, after my work was over, then I came home, went to the hospital, got a couple staples put in my head. Didn't hurt at all
Ouch.
because I had tattoos at that time, so staples in my head didn't really phase me any. And about, what was it? They said 7 to 10 days you could get them out. And then, needless to say, I took them out myself while playing. What was it? Destiny. Then I pull it out because I was wearing the headset kind of deal, and then that was crazy enough. So I didn't have to go to the hospital to take him out after 7 to 10 days. It just came out by itself by frequently wearing the headset and then sleeping on it, and then before you know it, I still have this scar on my head, and then every so often I play with it, but I know I'm not supposed to do that. But then I clean it off after the fact, of course. So that's pretty much the ugly part of work. And what was the last question?
Just the good, the bad, the funny moments, the BS moments.
Oh, there was one time where it was a BS moment where the assistant of my place of employment said that one customer said to him that I didn't wash my hands after I went to the bathroom, and I'm
Oh,
like, you gotta be shitting me. I wash my hands before doing my business, then I wash my hands after I do my business, and what the F? Unless if you're the one that doesn't wash your hands and you blame it all on me, but I digress. That stupid asshole almost got me suspended because of that, because it's a health hazard kind of deal. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. It was like 2, 3 years into my job, and this happens. Fuck you.
yeah, there was a not a similar incident, but there was an incident that happened with me and a customer at a retail store. But before we jump into that, the first job that I had ever had that was outside of school was a public works place that I used to work at for the summer only. And I remember I this is a story that I I never forgot, and we had still talked about it, or usually every time I came back, like every single year, it was always brought up. But it was my first day on the job, and it was me, another coworker, and my boss at the time. Well, he wasn't like the big boss. He was kind of like the crew leader, if that makes any sense. So it's
Yeah.
so it's me, a coworker, and the crew leader, who was the same guy actually that got me the job. He's the one that hired me. So we go up to this house, and
Right.
oh my god, what happened was, now I was 17 and I didn't had a driver's license at the time. I actually had a permit at the time. Now, during the interview, I had said to the crew leader, I had said that I don't have a driver's license. I have a permit. And he was like, okay, all right, well, thank you for the information. I now know that you have a permit. So we roll up to this house, and my boss at the time says, hey, Matt, do me a favor. Take the pickup truck and just put it on the opposite side of the street. We were basically on a side street. Now, in my head, I was thinking, well, wait a minute. I told him that I only have a driving permit. I don't actually have a driver's license. But then I was also thinking, well, okay, it's only from this end to the other end. So literally like 12 feet, literally. So I get in the pickup truck, and it's one of those pickup trucks that it has the shift on the actual axle of the wheel, whatever. So I'm trying to figure out like where it shows like the park, the reverse, the neutral, and the drive. And I'm trying to figure it out, but I don't see like where the gauge is. So my boss swings around. He's kind of helping me tinker with the shift gear. So I pull it down, and I'm thinking in my head, okay, I'm in drive. I hit the I hit the accelerator, and besides going forward, I go back, and the rear view mirror almost clipped my boss's head. Like he came inches, literally,
What the fuck?
li-
Are
lit-
you kidding me?
literally inches. So as I'm going back, I literally see my boss just go down, like instantly go down. And I hit the brake really hard, and I stopped, and I just have this shocked look on my face, like, oh my
Oh
God,
shit.
oh my God, did I just kill them? Well, first of all, one, he was fine. And secondly, he gets up, has a smile on his face, and he goes, "Matt, get out of the car. I'll pull it over there. Just pick up the trash." And I literally picked up trash for the 8 hours I was there.
Crazy shit.
Oh my God! Like I said, it was one of those nightmare moments that I'm just like, oh my God. I, I, like I said, he, it missed him. The rear view mirror, the driver's side mirror, almost got him, but he just ducked, like literally at the same time that I was going back. I mean, God only knows like what the scenario would have had been if it would have had clipped him and he would have gotten hurt from that. Like I just kind of wonder like, wow, what would have had happened?
You're a crazy ass son of a bitch.
Yeah, yeah, tell me about it. And then let's see what else happened. Oh yeah,
Right.
there was the Creek Wars that we used to do. Now you're probably wondering, well, Creek Wars. What is this Creek Wars nonsense? So uh I was never really involved in the Creek Wars per se, but what would happen is they would film some of the guys do these creek wars, and this is how it would be. So there would be this ladder, uh it would be on two ledges with obviously there'll be the river bank or the creek, whatever, right beneath you. And literally the objective was to not go in the creek, and one person would go in but the other person would not. And then other times, um they would both go in, and they would just both be soaked. And yeah, that was, I mean, back then, or back in like the 2008 period, we got away with a lot of shit. And then like by the time 2010 swinged around, um all of that fun stuff basically just withered away, and it kind of became more serious after that practically.
Right.
um oh god, oh, there was another incident where apparently I came close from getting run over. This happened in 2010, and the story with this was uh, I was bringing down a lawnmower from the trailer, and as I'm coming down, I guess somehow I was kind of on a weird angle. So besides going straight down, I was kind of going to the right, kind of going towards the road. And I guess from what one of the crewmates had seen, he said that I came within inches from hitting this car. And yeah, like I said, now I didn't know honestly that the car was that close. So when I went to look, it was just kind of like, wow, did that just happen sort of moments.
Right.
Um God, what was another incident that happened? I know there was a few fights that happened, but I never seen them personally. I just had heard about it. And yeah, I think that's basically about it. I mean, there's probably a lot more uh crazy shit that I could definitely talk about. Um, but this next one, oh god, this was more memorable. So the next job I had, this was a more permanent job, not just seasonal, and that was when I used to work at a retail store in the maintenance department. And boy, I mean, you know the place. I'm not gonna mention the name,
Yeah, I'm aware.
but yeah, there was a lot of frustrating moments with the job. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, but you know what? What kept the job going for me was the people that I worked with, and if it wasn't for the people, I probably would not have lasted for the 10 months I was there. But man, there was a lot of there was a lot of good times, a lot of good times in a frustrating environment. One of which, now I wasn't there. I just know the story, and I'll just mention his first name. His name was Sean. Sean was one of the coolest guys that I loved working with, and I wish I would have been with him when this had happened. So it was him, and there was this one guy named Mike, but everybody called him Lazy Mike because he would not work. So they're in the freezer, and what happened was what happened was he they're in the freezer, and he's chucking down these bags of ice to Mike. So he's chugging them down very fast. And I guess Mike was sort of complaining about it. And my buddy Sean was like, "Man, son, you gotta work. You gotta work, son. You gotta work." I wish I was there for that moment. Uh
Yeah.
there was another funny moment. This was actually with another Sean. So this is a different Sean. So he opens the freezer door. I'm standing next to him. We walk in, and it's kind of a mess in the freezer. But all there is laying on the floor is this 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 tombstone pizza. So what he did was he takes the freaking tombstone pizza, he cracks it in half, and I take the tombstone pizza, I put it between my knees, and I legit gave the tombstone pizza a tombstone pile driver.
You crazy? On that wood floor or tile floor garbage?
Oh my god! But it was the funniest shit that we had ever pulled off. I mean, my buddy Sean, he was on the floor dying, and when I hit the Tombstone Pizza with the pile driver, he just pulls off a Jim Ross. He's like, "Good God Almighty! Good God Almighty! Matt here gave that Tombstone Pizza a Tombstone pile driver." It was just the funniest shit ever. We just could not stop laughing for what happened. It was just the funniest shit we ever did. Um what was it? God, there was like so many. Oh, there was the one time that I was going into the workers' bathroom and I opened the door and Sean scared the shit out of me and he starts laughing his ass off. And probably the best moments. Uh, Now this is with the first Sean, not the second Sean, with the first Sean that I mentioned. So what happened was, I'm walking around, and one of the receivers, his name was John. He comes up to me and he goes, "Dude, you won't believe what Sean did." And I'm like, "Oh no, what did he do?" And he goes, "Take a look for yourself." So we go into the receiving aisle, or we go into receiving, and I turn to the corner and there's nothing there. And I'm like, "Well, okay, what's going on here? There's nothing wrong." And he goes, "Oh no, look on the table." So I go towards the table. I see what's written. There's a note with Sean's name tag and his vest. And on the letter, it reads Jose. Jose was the receiving manager at the time. It writes, or it reads, "Jose, it's been real, but I quit. Have a good night, Sean." And I'm like, this is not happening here. So yeah, he legit wrote a note and just walked out. He quit pretty much just like that.
Well, I kind of had similar situations where I left my name tag on the break room table,
Uh-huh.
and a few coworkers thought that I up and quit the place of employment because usually when you leave your name tag or whatever, or your badge or whatever on the table, usually means that you're quitting or stuff like that. So coworkers texted me and says, "Are you quitting? Are you done with this company?" Kind of deal. I'm like, "No, I just forgot my name tag on the table. I forgot to put it in the locker. So, oh, fuck me." And I know I had my turn, and I know you had your turn, but uh, with an incident that happened at my place, a little funny, but a little fuck kind of deal. Well, we sell water at my place of employment,
Uh-huh.
and like cases of water, and then it was like in a pallet. With the old system, you could put two pallets on top of each other and loft it up to the rafters kind of deal. Fine, without any problems. But with the new system that they got nowadays, if you loft two cases of water up to the rafters, it does not work. So a coworker of mine who's not trained on the forklift, unlike this guy is semi-trained on the forklift. I know I'm gonna get myself in trouble with that, but I don't care. Uh, I would not have done that. Would have done one at a time, not two at a time, because I heard them saying that you're not supposed to do two, you're supposed to do one. So I did the one, but what was it? It was during the summer, a couple of years ago. This other coworker of mine who was like about a month younger than me, and I think he's having his birthday next month, but I digress. He ended up putting two, like one pallet on top of the other pallet, and he lofted it up, and he got like halfway up, and the whole case of like the top pallet dropped on the floor.
Oh no.
And then the other one got half of the pallet dropped on the floor. And we said, I, I warned the son of a bitch, don't do it. You know, I told him that with this new system that you're not supposed to do that. And he says, "Oh, I got this. I got this. You could go moseying along, kind of deal. I got this. I'm a professional, kind of deal." Yeah, yeah. You should listen to me, asshole. I knew what was right, what was wrong. You did wrong, but thank God I was in the back because guess what? If I wasn't in the back, he would have had to clean up that mess all by himself. And a manager came to the back and says, well, not the higher up of the bosses in the place of employment, but our direct supervisor said, and on the other team's supervisor, because we have a chemical based employees kind of deal. Both of them said, "What the fuck happened here?" So we had to clean up all that mess, all that jazz, whatnot. You know, it took like about a whopping half an hour to clean up that shit. And oh my god, that was a big mess. And then he learned from that one incident. Don't do that ever again.
Was he fired?
Still works at the company. Just got himself a warning, probably.
Wow.
And let's just say, needless to say, a lot of people say that he's the golden boy in the company. So whatever happens to him, will slap on the wrist. If it would have happened to me, well, I probably would have gotten written up, no problem.
Now, talking about on my part with the same retail store, you had an incident with the customer about not washing your hands, and I had an incident with a customer. So with my story, I think I may have told you this, but I'll say it on
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So I was in the candy slash magazine aisle, and I'm walking down, and this woman comes up to me saying, "Uh, where do you guys keep your? I think it was like baby food or baby formula or something along those lines." So I'm walking down. Now, picture this in mind. There is a guy looking at the magazines. Okay? So keep that guy in mind. So I'm walking
Mhm.
over and it's just me, the girl, and the guy looking at the magazines. So we we get to the baby food, and I'm showing her and this and that, and I kind of scoot down, like maybe like one or two steps to my left, and all of a sudden I feel two fingers on my shoulder, and I hear, "Excuse me," and I was forced to turn around. The guy had forcefully pulled me to turn around, and and it was just kind of like this awkward moment, and the guy was like, "What are you doing?" And I think I said something like to the lines of, "Oh, I'm just showing this customer here where the baby food is." And the guy's like, "Yeah, but you were in my way." And I think I may have said something like, "Oh, well, no, it's just that this girl here wanted to know where the food was, the baby food, and I was just showing her, the different varieties." And the guy goes, "I get it, but you were in my way. Why did you get in my way?" And the guy was getting like very angry. And I just said, all I said was, I said that I was sorry, and that I pointed my attention back to the woman, and I said, "Here's all the baby ingredients. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask." And she said thank you, and I walked away. Like, I got out of that situation very quick. Um I had told this story to my mom and a few other coworkers, and I think my mom may had suggested it, but my mom was like, you maybe should have had reported that to the manager, and file a report about it. But then of course my mom was like, but then again, now that I say that, they probably would have been like, oh well, customers come first and whatnot. But still, I mean, they could have checked the cameras, seen that the guy had put his hands on me, forcefully turned me around, and maybe there would have been a case for it. I mean, I'm not 100% certain, but maybe there would have been a case.
Uh, Technically, customers are not allowed to put their hands on you unless if it's warranted that they could do that. But if it's not warranted, technically that person could have gotten in trouble, and you should have reported to your manager at the scene, so that yeah, this customer put his hands on me with force and turned me around, kind of deal, and had a very uncomfortable altercation with me, and I don't know what to do when this incident would to ever arise again.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, like I said, it was a very, very awkward situation before.
Because you said that you're helping out a female customer with baby food,
Right.
and then a male customer turned you around forcefully. So it was like you're stuck between a rock and hard place, because
Yeah.
you don't want to intentionally get in front of people's way, but the guy should have been more of a gentleman and not being aggressive with you just by helping out a female customer, kind of deal.
Right,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Oh, no, no, no. I know exactly what you mean. And actually, I have another customer story, as a matter of fact. So, this guy comes up to me. It was an older guy, maybe like early 60s, mid 60s. He comes up to me and he goes, uh, where is your Canadian bacon? And I said, I'm not sure if we sell Canadian bacon, but the meat department, and I'm pointing my finger at the meat department, and I go, but the meat department guys over there, they'd be more than happy to help you to figure out if we do have Canadian bacon. And he goes, well, I've gone to 6 people about this, and nobody doesn't seem to know if we have Canadian bacon. So one of the receivers comes around. His name was Mike. We had a lot of Mikes at my job. So
Yeah,
Mike
I'm aware.
so Mike swings around and he's pointing at the meat department as well. He said, sir, if you're looking for any kind of meat, bacon, or anything of that sort, our meat department is right over there. So me and Mike were pointing at the meat department, basically going, yeah, our meat department's there. And this guy is having a rant. And all of a sudden he goes, you know what? Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. Nobody is not fucking helping me. Nobody's not showing me where the damn meat department is and all that sort of thing. Like, this guy was throwing a tantrum. And we're just standing there looking at each other like, what is that guy's problem? We're pointing him in the direction of the meat department. If he's got a question relating to meat or bacon or any or whatever, our meat department is right over there. And yeah, he was just acting like a crybaby.
Yeah, we had customers like that too at my place of employment. But do you know what happened after that all happened? Where a customer would have complained and started threatening up the joint.
What's that?
It was way too much, way too many incidents with the same customer. So we basically had a unanimous management of all the departments, including the checking area and
Uh-huh.
the bagging area, whatever. So it was like a unanimous decision saying, yeah, this customer is not allowed to come back here ever again. So they pretty much banned that person uh, from ever shopping here ever again.
Now,
I know you're not supposed to do that, and customers have all the right in the world to shop there. But if it becomes a very hostile situation like that, like I'm gonna start stabbing you, I'm gonna start punching you, I'm gonna start shooting up the joint. It was like enough's enough. You're kicked out here from shopping here ever again permanently. No questions asked. And cops came and ejected this person out of the place.
now there was another story that happened. Now, either it was my day off or this happened before I even started. So it was in the deli department. And actually, one of my buddies who I still keep in contact with to this day, his name is Jason. He tells the story. He was there when it happened. But I guess what happened was, so this customer, she was at the deli and she wanted something. So the employee does what the customer wanted to have, and I guess the customer started throwing this big fit. Well, I guess the employee had redid whatever was asked. Customer still throwing a fit. So finally, the employee, she just has enough. So I guess she's going off on the customer. Customer's going off on the employer. All of a sudden, there's a scene. The employer walks out of the deli and actually goes face to face with the woman. I believe it was a woman. So they're going at it, the woman employer and the woman customer. They're yakking, they're getting right in each other's faces, and all of a sudden, the employer punched the customer. Customer goes down. There's this shock look, and obviously, the employer was fired immediately on the spot, and
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that as an apology and to avoid getting sued, I'm guessing whatever groceries she got was on the store itself just to avoid getting sued. Yeah. And it's one of those, man, I wish I was there to see it moments, because I was not there when it happened. Like I said, either it happened on my day off or it had happened probably, like, say, like a couple hours before I started.
Damn.
Now,
And for my side of things, about a month before I started working at my place of employment, because I started in September, I
uh-huh,
got trained in August, but my official date was in September. But this happened like a month before I even started working in my company.
uh-huh.
One manager had lofted up a pallet of liquor that was unsecure, and that whole liquor pallet fell on the floor. So they lost about $20,000 to $30,000 worth of liquor,
Wow.
and that whole section, because it was like a pool of liquor, not only went to the back receiving, our second receiving section, it went on the sales floor as well.
Good God, jeez.
And when I started working there, we had another liquor manager. She had toppled over like maybe 5 cases of liquor on the floor, but it wasn't all that bad. That was when I was working there. Even I was on the clock, and then like, what was it? We had another male liquor manager have the same incident. It's like, why can't these managers be careful with their situation and get their stuff secured before moving these things? So when the male liquor manager decided to move like a pallet of liquor, I said, fuck this shit. I'm not uh, being held accountable for this shit. So I had to say, I'm taking my time out of my job just to help out these people because it seems like they're incompetent to do anything. So they said, thank you for helping me out, kind of deal. Because I had heard one story that we lost $20,000 to $30,000 worth of liquor
Jeez.
before I even started working at my place, and then about what was it, 5 cases? What, that's like about what, $500 that they lost.
Yeah.
So pretty much, I'm done losing money because of people's incompetency. So I said, I'm helping you out. I don't care if you're a guy or not. I'm helping your ass out. And he says, thank you.
Well, funny that you mentioned liquor. I have three BS stories relating to the job that I'm talking about still. So this was around, I want to say it was like late August. And I wanted to move up and I wanted to try to be in the liquor department. So they put me through the tests and whatnot. And, they said that like a week later that I would take this test. Week comes, never happens. And I would question, I would be like, yeah, I was just wondering like when's my next test gonna be? And they would say, oh, I'm sorry, Matthew, but we actually got very busy, but we'll do it in 2 weeks. And I said, okay, 2 weeks. 2 weeks come, nothing happened. And that was kind of my motivation to say, okay, I gotta find something a lot better. So that was one BS story. The second BS story. Now, this was the winding down part of my final 2 weeks at the said retail store. And my store director at the time, he comes up to me and he goes, Matt, come here a second. I want to talk to you for a moment. So I go to him and he goes, what do you like to eat? And I'm looking at him a little weird, and I'm like, "What do I like to eat?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is not a trick question. What do you usually like to have for lunch?" And
Continue.
and the first thing that popped into my mind was pizza. And he goes, "Pizza? All right, Matt. Here's the deal I'm gonna make with you. If you can clean the men's bathroom, I will buy you lunch, pizza more specifically." And I was like, okay, sure, no problem. So I go into the customer male bathroom and I'm looking around and I see that the bathroom is pretty clean for the most part. And I'm checking the stall, it's pretty clean. And I'm like, well, it's pretty clean. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. What's going on here? Well, I check the urinal. And I swear to God, there were little turds in the urinal. It looked like a kid had decided to just take a few dumps in the urinal. I was disgusted.
So
And
you've never done anything like that in real life?
no.
I
So
did. I
so
did
so
once.
I cleaned the urinal out. Everything's fine. I go to my store director. I said it's all clean, and he goes, "Thank you, Matt. I owe you lunch." Never bought me lunch. Never did.
Well, there was one assistant boss of the store that I currently work at. He knows that I busted my ass. He knows that I do things for this company, and every so often he would actually offer to buy me, like, say, like those juice monster beverages, like the energy drinks.
Yeah.
And then after that, he started getting me hooked on it. Hooked on it. I'm like, this is good shit. This is good shit. But there's one time when I got a little crazy. I drank a little too much. Got me so super wired one day, and I had to calm down. And I never drank that stuff for about a good whopping 3 to 4 months. Because I said, nope, 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 not dealing with that shit no more. But after all that's said and done, I said, no, do not buy me more energy drinks because that stuff got me messed up one day. And then after that, he started buying me, what was it, water? He would buy me like a half of his wrap sub things, like
Mm-hmm.
when they make subs at a current or not current, but a certain particular workplace.
Yeah.
Like they have actual sandwiches like you can eat. He would offer me half of his sandwich because he didn't eat the full sandwich, if you will. So he gave me half of his. And I says, people said that we're going to be bumping heads. People said that you're an asshole. People said that you're a dick. But why are you offering me this shit? And then I'm like, okay, I'm not complaining. I'm getting free food, so I'm shutting up. Okay. And then on top of that, he would offer me like Butterfingers, Kit Kat, Snickers. I'm like, you know what? You're not as bad, but your attitude still has a lot of work to be done. But I'm not complaining. You're offering me food. And then one day he said, "Hey, don't. Uh, do you want to work out with me one day?" I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck is going on here?" So he told me one day, uh, "Bring a pair of shorts, work shirt, like a workout shirt. We're going to the gym." So he got me going to a gym. Said, "This I normally do not do, bringing coworkers to work out with me, but you're one of the first people that I've actually offered to do this with." And then he ended up buying me like a post workout beverage to recover me faster. I'm like, thank you. You're not as bad as I thought, but still, I know we're going to be bumping heads, but I respect your ass. You
Now,
know,
the final BS story with me. So this was a Wednesday. Now, okay, so this is what happened. So I put in my 2 weeks notice,
yeah,
and I put the 2 weeks notice in. It was on a Wednesday. So the next week, I think it was Monday. Um, one of the assistant people came up to me and said, "Would you like to make your last day this coming Friday instead of the next week Wednesday?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'm perfectly cool with that." So my original last day was supposed to be like that was supposed to be like the 17th or something like that. And they had moved it up to, I believe it was the 13th or the 12th, something like that. So Wednesday the 10th comes, and I'm actually leaving the customer bathroom. I had just got done cleaning it, and the store director stops me and he goes, "Matt, can you come into the office for a second? I want to talk to you about something." So go into the office, and the store director goes, "So it's about your last day." And I said, "Yes, I understand that this Friday you guys have decided to make it my last day." And the store director goes, "Well, that's what we're here to talk to you about. And I just want to hear it out of your words, and if you're perfectly fine with it. But I wanted to ask, are you perfectly fine having today being your last day?" And the reason why I'm asking this is because it's the budget, the payroll. It's the payroll, and that it might affect the payroll for this week and next week. I have no clue to this day why it would affect the payroll, but at that point, I just basically had enough with all the BS. So I looked at my store director and I said, "Yes, I am perfectly fine. You have my 100% permission to have today be my last day.
I
And
hate when I hate when place of employment mentions payroll, because guess what? You need me more than I need you,
yeah.
kind of deal.
So he said thank you, and I actually went on my break, as a matter of fact. Got off my break. I worked the final 40 minutes, and I went around to every single department while on the job, of course. And I said, guess what, guys? You're not going to believe this. Today's my last day. And every single one of them was either stunned or they said, that is bullshit. That is garbage, man. I mean, and then of course they said, you know what, you deserve better than this place, and you know what, if you chose this, and I mean, you seem to have a job lined up, which I did. Uh, they even said, you know what, I hope you make a killing in the next job you get, because this was kind of injustice on their part. So once my time was up, I went around every department, shaking hands, giving hugs and kisses. And one of the guys, he was in the meat department. His name was Benny. Benny looks at me and he goes, "You know what, man? Take my advice. Don't ever take shit from anyone." That was his advice to me. Don't take shit from anyone. Just be yourself and keep pushing forward. And yeah, I I I got in my car, my 97 Volkswagen Jetta at the time. I looked at the store one more time and I drove off. I drove off. I mean, yes, I miss the people that I worked with. Yes, I miss the good times, and like I said before, it was the people that kept me through thick and thin. And if it wasn't for them, I probably would not have lasted long. But then, of course, probably the more bigger BS part, um, strangely enough, and I don't know why, but there was a lot of friends or a lot of the coworkers there that I had friends on Facebook. And I kid you not, when I made the announcement on my personal Facebook that it was my last day, and I thanked everyone, I gave some shout outs. Everybody's wishing me luck in my future endeavors. I kid you not, the next day, I literally had about 6 or 7 people from the said retail store that I was very close with remove me as a friend for no reason, including one actually that I try to refriended back because I thought maybe it was a mistake. Nope, declined. Don't know why, but their loss, and it's their choice. It's their choice. Why? I don't know, but they chose it. I didn't.
That's pretty much one reason why I don't have a Facebook account, is because of that said reason. Because a lot of people who have Facebook, no offense to people who got it, it's all about a drama filled based bullshit that they have to rely on the life of others instead of the life of themselves, kind of deal. And if it doesn't bring you happiness, why have it?
I mean, here's what I will say, and this is my opinion. Facebook can help you with reconnecting with old friends, like the Irish family who I've mentioned to you many of times.
Yeah,
But no, like, I mean, this is another topic here. I mean, this will have to be saved for another episode. But here's what I will say. I have noticed on my friends and some of my family members, you know, what I was taught was this: you keep religion and politics to yourself unless you agree on the same terms. And my God, when it comes to politics, they let these things go out there like it's nothing. It's like, whatever happened to, like, politics and religion being so sacred? Like that's something you don't share unless, once again, you're on the same page.
They're not wrong, because would it be on Facebook, or would it be on Twitter, or would it be on Instagram, or would it be in Discord, or would it be on Skype, or would it be on personal, whatchamacallit? I mean, yeah, granted, you can talk about these topics, but you got to watch what you say, because if you say the wrong thing, people go off the handle like crazy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you on that. It's like, you know, not mentioning names or politician names or anything like that, but let's say if you supported this guy, back many years ago, nobody would never had known that you supported said guy or said person or said woman. But with Facebook, and there are those people out there, they love to spill it out there, and when they do, you're either the greatest person to them because you support that person, or you're the greatest enemy to that said person.
They're not wrong.
Like I said, this is another topic for another episode. God, we could probably talk about this for like a good hour. maybe like
What
like
about
may,
Facebook in general?
maybe
Yeah.
like a one topic show. We could just talk nothing about social media, and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with it. But let's go back on subject here. So the retail story basically ends with me. And then my previous job, which was at a warehouse. I'm not going to really specify what I did, but it was at a warehouse. And there was a lot of good times I had with the Six Flags, which actually I went with them to Six Flags Fright Fest this past October and had a great time with them.
Very
Um,
nice. Very nice. Good
there
job.
was some great times. There was some shaky moments, and then there was a BS moment. And this BS moments, oh my god. I I so this is what happened. So we had actually more recently had moved into a much bigger building. And what happened was, I was the night guy. I was the only one night guy. And everybody is gone except for me. So before I started working, I went around the building. I made sure that everything was locked, everything was closed, and I go to the receiving end, make sure everything is closed, and I start walking back. And as I'm walking back, I all of a sudden say to myself, wait a minute, did I forget to lock something? So I go back to the receiving, to be exact. I double check everything, the garage doors, the emergency exit, everything. Everything is locked. And I'm like, okay, that's already out of my head. So I go to the floor and I'm doing some work, and all of a sudden my phone starts blowing up. And I'm like, okay, who is this? And at first glance, I thought maybe it was my mom or was somebody just being annoying or giving me some BS talk of what's happening. No, of all people, it was the president of the company, the big shot, the final boss.
Uh-huh.
He texts me and he goes, "Is this you in the building?" And he sends me two pictures from the camera. Of one picture what looks like it's me walking away from a set, and another picture that looks like I'm about to do a set. And I texted him back and I said, "Yeah, that is me. May I ask what's going on?" And he texts me back literally like a minute later, and he goes, "I've been watching you and you've been walking around aimlessly. What are you doing?" And I'm just like freaked out at the moment. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I was making sure that everything was locked. So I did like a couple things. I was pissed off about the situation. I clocked out and I left. I left for the night. And that first year was very shaky with me. Very shaky. And one of the guys, um, not mentioning names, of course, but all I'm gonna say is he's a pastor, and we um we got talking in private, and you know what? I will say this. Years later, I did regret saying this, even though it was in private. But I said to this said pastor, I said, "Am I working with the devil?" I legit said that. And he laughs about it. He goes, "No, I get where your frustration is coming from, but you've got to understand something here. You know, he's probably one of the coolest guys you will ever meet. And yeah, you know what? When the frustration happens and the heat gets turned on, yeah, sometimes things are set out of proportion, but believe me, if you really take the moment to really understand him and really listen to him, or maybe even talk with him, you're going to start to see like the true self of him. And he was right. And you know what? I regret saying those words. I really did. And you know what? I said this to him before, and I said this to him on my last day before I left. I was with the company for 4 years, about 4.5 years. And I said to him, I said, you know what? Let me say this to you right now. You are a once in a lifetime boss. And I don't think I am never, ever going to have another boss like you again. With the Six Flags, the Christmas party, the no smoking program, the Walt Disney. Like, he was really the type of guy that went out of his way to award the workers, like the Six Flags Fright Fest, like the Christmas dinner, like the no smoking program, Walt Disney. There was like this golfing thing that they did. He really went out of his way, and you know what? Like I said, I ate those words, and I regret saying what I said, but at that time I was still a greenhorn, which basically means rookie, and I didn't really see the big picture. And once I saw the big picture, I said to myself, you know what? If I ever become a businessman one day, or if I ever own a company, you know, take somebody like me, for instance. I'm a nice guy, I'm very respectful, very kind, but when you have people working underneath you, you got to make sure that the quota is met, and that the preparations are right and whatnot. And yeah, you know what? Sometimes you may have to maybe not crack the whip, but maybe you may have to start being like, hey dude, listen, we gotta start turning up the heat here. I mean, I don't want to be an asshole to you, but we gotta pick that pace up a little bit, buddy. We gotta start turning up the heat a little bit here. And I think that's what I've learned. I mean, you don't want to be mean. You definitely don't want to come off as the bad guy. And that's what I've learned, is that
Right.
if you ever own a company, I may never own a company one day, but let's say it happens one day. As kind and respectful as I am, you know what? This is my business. I built this from the ground up, and the money that comes in, yes, it's going to you guys, but it's also going to me to put food on to put food on the table for the family, to keep a roof over their head. And I'm paying you guys in hopes that we can meet the quota, we can get shit done, and that we can have a good solid day.
Right.
And yeah, and like I've said this to you before we even did the show, the podcast, and I'll say it again for the record. I have nothing against the people. I have nothing against the job, the work environment. I've worked with some of the most amazing people, boys and girls, and I do miss working with them. I do. But that long drive. I'm not gonna say the town. I'll just say the distance. It was an hour drive. It was an hour to work, an hour back. I was putting in 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week, $25 a week on gas alone, and yeah, it put a lot of mileage on my car, lots and lots of mileage. And then I found this job that I'm currently working at now, which I enjoy. I enjoy it a lot. And it's only 10 minutes. It's only a 10-minute drive from the new job I work at now. And it's only like a 10, 15-minute drive at best, sometimes 20 if traffic is a little bit heavy, to go to school. And of course, from school back to my house is about 15, 20 minutes at best. So, I mean, you just have the perfect formula right there. I mean, how can you complain about that?
Right.
Um, and I guess, one cool thing about the job I work at now. So I don't do that much driving anymore unless it's like, somebody calls off or something like that. But on my first week on the job, I was trained for the Wisconsin run. And I'm in the passenger seat, the guy's driving, and we are in Johnson Creek. We're in the countryside of Johnson Creek, Wisconsin, going up towards Oshkosh. So we're driving through the country road, beautiful, beautiful country road. All the cornfield, you see the cows, the horses, just all this sort of thing. But the one thing that was so awesome, it was almost like a once in a lifetime. Um, we see this big, huge bird, big, massive bird, just sitting out on the road. And my buddy thought that it was a giant hawk, but I'm looking more closer and I see brown and a white head. It was an eagle. You could see its wingspan. I mean, its wingspan looked like it was like 6 feet wide from the wingspan. I mean, it was just this beautiful, beautiful, majestic bird. Never seen an eagle before in my life. I mean, I've seen it like on videos and whatnot, but never one in person. And it was something to be said. It was just an awesome thing to see. Just to see the thing take off in the air, its big wingspan. Oh, it was awesome. Just totally awesome.
Very nice.
And that pretty much sums up the work talk here. And now let's jump into the main event, which is about the good times hanging out with friends or the friends that you met online. What are some friend stories that you can share that are good, funny, and all that sort of thing?
Well, like I mentioned to a few people in my life, uh, there's been only one very best friend, true friend that I've met in freshman year or sophomore year of high school, and it all revolved around wrestling. So that was my very first ever opportunity to have friends in my life based upon my interest. And I'm like, wow, I've never had a friend that I could call my best friend. To this date, I mind you, uh, he would help me, I would help him out in life, and then if it wasn't due to him, I don't think I'd be the man who I am today. And then we got into the gaming on Xbox 360 back in the day, Call of Duty, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and that opened my gates for gaming. And then when I started working the company that I do now, back to work related again, of course. Uh, I've met a few people there that were gamers as well, and then we exchanged gamer tags and whatnot. And I know this is one of the games that you don't like talking about, but the game Destiny is one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me because it opened up more gates to uh, playing with other people and gaining more friends that way. So that's always been the good, positive outcome with having more things in common. Would it be wrestling? Would it be video games? Would it be anime? Like that one coworker of mine that passed away about 2, 3 years ago, who got me into going to conventions. If it wasn't due to him liking these things, going to these weird stuff, like I know I've always wanted to go to conventions because of the CM Punk, but I've always been afraid to go by myself. So it's like one of those things that I had to get a friend to get involved with me with this. And I'm glad that this God rest my soul got me into going to conventions because if it wasn't due to him, I would not be going to conventions these days. So that's another thing that are good. Unfortunately, God rest my soul, going 6 feet under. Love the guy to death, and it got me having more friends as a cosplayers, if you will. So all in all, having people who have common interests as you is always a good thing because it makes you have that much more drive to live, to do things with, going to wrestling events, go to conventions with, playing video games with, and that opened up doors, saying going on Twitch or Mixer or broadcasting in general, like what you're going into.
Right.
I think you should try Twitch or Mixer or Twitch, depending on which one you want to do, to broaden your horizons. If you don't do, say, the journalism broadcasting or going to sporting events broadcasting, at least then you're doing broadcasting in general, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, if I can share a story here, um, this is one of those stories, and I wish he was here today. He'll be gone now for 4 years come this July. But my buddy Ron, um, this is the one story that we always seem to talk about like every month, and it's one of those stories that just never gets old. So this was during the time I was working at said retail store, and this was in 2014. I want to say it was like late spring or early summer, and we're on a Xbox 360, and we're playing this game called World Series of Poker Full House Pro. It was a free game to play, and what him and I would do is we would tag team. So we would be in a lobby together, and what we would do is we would tell each other's cards like what we had, and our goal was to be at least the final three. So that way we could get money. That's how we were trying to win these games. Most of the time we did, but then there was other times we lost. But there was this one particular night that is so iconic that it's just one of those stories that it never gets old when we talked about it. So it was one night. I don't remember if I was getting off of work, because I remember working for the longest time was like from 5 to 10. So I don't know if I was getting off of work or maybe it was a day off of work. I don't quite remember. But what I do remember was, so we're playing me and Ron. We're playing World Series of Poker Full House Pro once again on the Xbox 360. And it's like maybe midnight, close to 1 o'clock. Now, I was alone in the house. My mom wasn't home and my dad wasn't home. So literally, I had the whole house to myself. So so we get our cards. I had like crap cards. I threw them away. My buddy Ron, he has, I think it was like a 10 of diamonds and a king of diamonds. So obviously, he bets. Here comes the flop. And it's two random cards, and there's a ace of diamonds. So one of the people bet. My buddy Ron, he bets as well. Here comes the turn. The turn card is a jack of diamonds. So my buddy Ron, he has in his hand a 10 of diamonds and a king of diamonds. And on the board, there is an ace of diamonds and a jack of diamonds. And if you know poker, if you have
Uh-huh.
the top 5 cards of the same suit, it's a royal flush. It's the best hand you can get. So he's saying to me, he's like, dude, I just need a queen of diamonds. I need a queen of diamonds and I'll get the royal flush. So some guy bets. My buddy chases, and this is where the iconic moment comes into play. So I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm sure he was on the edge of his seat. And here comes the river. The river card is the queen of diamonds. He is sitting on a royal flush. I get up out of my seat, and this is legit. I kid you not. I get up out of my seat, and I'm going, "Oh my god, go all in, go all in, go all in." So obviously he goes all in. Guy chases, wins the pot. I am just jumping for joy. I am so happy for Ron that he got the royal flush. Like I'm just jumping for joy. Like if somebody won the championship or something like that. And it was just one of those iconic moments that I can ever recall. It was just so iconic and it was such a cool moment to see. But there was an after effect that came about. So the next day, my mom is home, and I go downstairs, and my mom looks at me and goes, "What was the big idea of throwing a wild party?" And I looked at her and I go, "Well, wild party? What are you talking about?" So this is the story here. So and they both passed away. But I had these two neighbors named Joyce and Andy. And Andy tells the story here. Now, Joyce, at around this time, she was kind of starting to kind of lose her mind, like kind of go delusional to a point. So this is what happened. So Andy tells the story to my mom. And what happened was, I guess Joyce was awakened by my voice. Okay. So as I'm yelling out, go all in, and I'm celebrating like somebody won the championship, Joyce gets woken up by my screaming because of the royal flush, but she has no idea like where it's coming from. So I guess she calls 911 and she is saying, according to what Andy said to my mom and what my mom told me, I guess Joyce was saying to the operator that she's hearing all of this yelling and that she's hearing somebody saying like body slam him through a table, body slam him through a car. That guy just went through a car and whatnot. Like it sounded like ECW was happening in another place if somebody is getting body slammed through a table and through a car. So what happened was, I guess there was a legit patrol officer. Now I did not know about this. There was a patrol officer roaming around my area to see if there was any kind of suspicious activity. And I guess a patrol officer had looked in through my house and noticed that everything in the house was off and that the only light that was on was my closet light in my gaming room, which is the room I'm in right now as we speak. That was the only light it was on. So obviously they reported back and they said, "No, there's nothing suspicious here. I don't know what this woman is talking about. Now, I did not know about this until very recently, actually, maybe about 3 weeks ago now. But my mom had brought this story up, and she never said this to me. Once again, I found out about this very recently, but I guess a patrol officer had legit came to my house and tried to ring the doorbell. Well, my doorbell doesn't work. So you could try to ring it, nothing will not ring. And I don't know if he knocked or not. Now, if he did, I was sound asleep. I did not hear anything. So I'm assuming the patrol officer was probably like, there's nobody here. There's just a dim of light in the closet. I don't see there being nothing suspicious about this. So I just recently found that out. But what's even more funnier is that that same day when my mom told me the story, I go on Xbox and I'm talking with Ron, and I told him the whole story, including the part where my neighbor Joyce had said that she heard somebody getting body slammed through a table and being put through a car. He starts laughing his ass off, and he's like, when was this ECW shit taking place? Why were we not invited? Oh my god. It was just it was just oh my god. Like I said, it was just it's one of those stories that we talked about this what felt like it was every day, but it never got old. It never got old. And he was a wrestling fan as well. Ron was. You know, he watched WWE, he watched NXT, he knew the guys and whatnot. He watched WCW, ECW back in his day. I guess actually, from what he told me, he actually used to be in a wrestling promotion. His ring name was Carnage, and I guess the story that he says is that he was working for this promotion. I don't remember what it was, but as soon as he left, TNA bought them. So he could have been working for TNA if he would have stuck around with the said promotion at the time.
Interesting.
It's very very interesting, but yeah, man, that story. Like I said, good times, good times, and like I said, unfortunately, he passed away in July of 2016. This coming July will mark 4 years that he passed away, and man, I still miss him. I still miss him to this very day. Um,
That rest on his soul as well.
yeah, I mean, God, I mean, like I said, I mean, you know what, he would have been very proud of me right now, for the accomplishments that I'm doing right now, what I'm doing right now, going back to school, doing this podcast. I'm I'm very certain that him and I would have done podcasts as well. Maybe that three-way. I know you're pitching for a three-way one day. Maybe I could have introduced you to him. Oh my god, like I said, just it's one of those moments where I wish he was still around, and it still hits me once in a while. But sometimes I'll go on Xbox and I'll look through my friends list, and I'll see his gamer name on my friends list, and I just kind of just stop there for a moment. I just uh it's just it's hard to it's hard to put it into words. Like it's sad. It's like I said, there's just a ton of words to say, but I don't know like how to say it. It is sad knowing that I'm never gonna see that green light shine again to show that he's available.
Yeah, yeah, I'm knowing about that. Like you said about Ron, it's like my convention going guy. I miss texting him like almost every single time that him and I were talking about conventions, talk about going to bars, talk about going to movies together kind of deal. I'm like, I miss those days.
Oh
But
yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to get this out of the way. What him and I would do, and this became a hobby. What we would do is we would get on the phone because he lived down in Alabama, and we had each other's phone numbers. And when there was an NBA game, what we would do is we would call and we would actually do commentary while the game was going on. Like, like we just be like, oh, this son of a bitch, what was that for? Why did he knock him down like that? He's a son of a bitch. He should be off the court. Oh my god, we just had fun. We just had fun with it. Or there'll be somebody that he would not like, and he'd be like, I'm not gonna spill any names here, but he'll be like, yeah, that XYZ guy, man, that XYZ guy sucks so much. It's no wonder he can't get a woman in his life. Like, he just we just
the
had
fuck?
we just had fun with it. Like of course I would say, boy, you know what? If we pulled this crap, like like if we were actual commentators pulling this shit off, we would be unplugged instantly. But fortunately, we're doing this on the phone. We don't work for them, so we can do whatever the hell we want.
Damn.
We were like freelance commentators.
So like pretty much like the King and JR kind of deal.
Oh yeah. Oh god, yeah. Like we did commentary when the Golden State Warriors were going to shatter the record of the Chicago Bulls 72 and 10 record. We did commentary for that. I believe we did commentary when it was the Cavaliers with LeBron James at the time against Golden State. We did commentary I think for like the first two games. That was fun. Oh my god, just had a blast doing that. Oh my god. Like I said, it's it's like I said, talking about this now, it's so sad to talk about it because it was like, those were just like the very high peaks of our friendship. And man, it like I said, like I said, I've said this before. I'll say it again for the road. I do miss him. I really do miss him. I mean, I think it would have been fun, doing a podcast with him on this show. I think it would have been fun playing PUBG with him. I think he would have loved that game. I really believe he would have loved that game. Or playing the new Call of Duty game. Um,
And if you would have introduced me to him, then him and I would be playing Destiny 2 right now.
Yes, yes. Like I said, it's sad, and you know what? Like I said, I wish he was here. That's all I ever wished for.
Yeah, tragic things have happened, but guess what? In the end, we will be with him.
Yes, yes, I definitely agree with you on that. I know there's a lot more to talk about, but we are gonna wrap things up here. Maybe we'll have to do like a part two of like the best friends memory moments here. So we're gonna wrap things up here. I do want to take this moment to thank everyone for tuning in and taking a listen to another edition of the Let's Talk Anything podcast here. I hope you guys did enjoy the rundown of the topics. And let's just give one more for the road. The NXT predictions here, one more time for the road here. Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor. We both said Balor. The street fight between Tegan Knox and Dakota Kai. You said Tegan Knox. I said Dakota Kai. Keith Lee versus Dijak for the North American Championship. You went with Dijak. I went with Keith Lee. The tag team match with Undisputed Era and Riddle and Dunn. We both said Riddle and Dunn. Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. We both said Ripley. And Adam Cole versus Ciampa. We both said Adam Cole, baby. Had to add
but
that part. Had to add it.
but let me add to all this. If you have any questions, comments, your predictions for Takeover, if you do watch it, or if you're wrestling fans out there, leave your answers down below in the doobly-doo, and your questions, your comments, your suggestions, this and that, to the description down below. Let's just say, let's make this all more interactive. What topics do you want us to talk about?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the social media, I think we could definitely talk about a full 1 hour possibly with social media, and then maybe like
Maybe
part
two
two of
hours. Maybe 2 hours,
the
because social media is getting bigger and
right.
bigger and bigger.
Right. And then more friend stories to talk about here. And as always, you can follow me at the Twitter, Sonic Mix at twitter.com. And then Tony, what's yours as always?
Triple Trinity 06 is my handle for anything and everything, except for YouTube, which is Sexy Stud 2010. If you do not mind following me on there as well, I may be adding more content on my channel if I am allowed to do that here. To do a shout out for my own self. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or not. What do you say about that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean that's cool. I mean, you are pretty much my co-host.
Considering that I got to change my name on there, and they said I have to have at least 100 followers, so maybe that could help me out in a way to make everything all universal, and changing my YouTube name.
Right, exactly. So whatever floats your boat, as they usually say.
Thank you.
But we are out of here. I am Matthew Sonic Mix alongside my co-host Tony Trinity, and we say to you all, have a good morning, afternoon, evening. Take care, and we'll see you next time on another edition of Let's Talk Anything podcast.
Take it easy, guys. Have yourself a great day. Bang, bang.
Have a good night, baby.